So I became vegan in 2016, but the journey started years ago. When I lived in Cleveland, I lived right up the street from a health food store, and I used to always go into this health food store and I would see vegan things, even though the word vegan wasn't really in my vocabulary. I had tried some vegan burgers when I was probably about 14 years old, and they taste like tires, and I decided that was it for me. Fast forward several years later, having issues with my digestion, I found that I was not able to digest cows. And so that journey started. So I began with working on my health by eliminating cows and pigs from my diet. Then it was turkeys and chicken. And then the next thing I did something called a Daniel's fast with a friend of mine's, where you abstain from eating anything from an animal. And the whole purpose of this diet was for me to manifest and be more in my power and be closer to God. What I found at the end of that 28-day Daniel fast was that I felt absolutely amazing. I felt good. I looked good. I was in such a delightful mood all the time. And I said, wow, maybe it's because I've been eating animals all this time. So I went on a vegetarian journey for about 8 years. Never had anything to do with animals, just strictly about my health, and really still didn't know what I was doing. Fast forward to 2016. I'm living here in Los Angeles, and I have a dream. And in the dream, I'm flying in the sky. Yeah, just like that. So in the dream, I'm flying high in the sky. Thank you. I did it again. I see this beautiful green pasture, and in the pasture is this very beautiful cow. And the cow looks up at me, and when we look at each other, our eyes locked and we merged and we became one, and I was the cow. I felt all of the cow's feelings, consciousness, love, childbirth, thoughts, feelings towards human beings. I was the cow. I felt everything, just like you feel yourself. And as I come out of the dream, I was crying and I was emotional because I'm like, wow, I had no idea that cows loved and that they were capable of love. And what I felt from the cow was everything that I feel as a human being. I felt sadness, joy, fear, love, compassion, the love they have for their children, the love they have for humans. And as I'm sitting there in the dream, well, not in the dream, but on my bed, awake, I feel this really warm sensation over my chest because I started questioning the reality of what I had just experienced. And even though I'm a believer, I'm also a skeptic. And I touched the spot where I felt the warmth, and I was paralyzed with the most profound peace I had ever felt in my entire life. It was soft, it was warm, it was unconditional, it was gentle. It felt like I could have just left this plane and existed there forever. And I realized that what I felt was the cow letting me know that this was a real experience. So that shifted the way I saw reality, because I realized that if cows love, so do chickens, so do pigs, so do turkeys, so do other animals. And I went on this journey, and a few weeks later, I came across the video Dairy is Scary by Aaron Janis. And when I saw how we obtain their milk and what we do to their bodies and how we treat them and how we take their children and put them into an oppressive situation, I realized that I would never consume dairy again in my life. So I've been on that journey, and I realized that this was something that I wanted to do with my life, is to wake up other people to realize the oppression that we all put on each other. It's a cycle that we all go through. And so this has been something that I've committed my life to doing, and in helping wake up the planet, wake up people in my culture, just wake up anyone that's willing to listen. And also, why I evolved, learned different ways of communicating with people of all different ages, backgrounds, and cultures. Prior to becoming vegan, I used to have the most severe, life-altering menstrual cycles that they controlled my life. I planned my life around my cycle. It would be excruciating pain, last for a very long time, very heavy. I couldn't function. And sometimes the process would last 7 days, sometimes 10. And when I became vegan, I noticed that there was no more pain. I barely even noticed that it was happening. I would be pleasant, like I would actually laugh and have a good time during my cycle, which was not normal. And I was just able to function. And so for that very reason, it let me know that, what we put in our body really, really does physically affect us. I'm also one to believe too that taking on the body, eating the body parts of an animal, especially with the trauma that they have to go through right before they get to our plate, I believe you're also taking in that trauma energetically. So if a being is feeling, knowing that they're getting ready to die and they're feeling all the fear, they're feeling all the anxiety, they're feeling all the stress. If you think about the most scariest moment of your life, imagine someone eating you at that moment. How could they not take on some of that energetically? So for me, it's not just about the physical, it's also about the spiritual as well. I believe that, these animals, we think that they're just pieces of meat on feet walking with a program that they're food, but that could be further from the truth. They're just as loving and just as intentional with their purpose on this planet as we are. They love their children. They give birth through their vaginas, just like human beings. Personally, I don't want my food coming from a vagina. I want my food coming from the trees, from the earth, from the air. I don't want it coming out of someone's canal. So we just have to really question why these things happen and why we're programmed to believe that these conscious sentient beings are here for our eating pleasure, when really they're here to love and be at peace, just like we want to be at peace. Yes, I feel like it is important for others to be vegan, because being vegan is a way for us to end the cycle of violence on the planet. What we eat, we are participating in violence. If people were to take a look and see how the animals make it to the supermarket in these little lovely plastic containers, and all you see is a leg and a breast, or, an organ in there. But if you actually saw the process and the fear in their eyes and what they go through, you will realize that you are participating in a cycle of violence, unnecessary violence. One, we don't even need, there's no nutritional value in eating an animal. Yes, they tell you in school that that's how you get your protein, this is how you get your B12, but if you do the research, you will find that there's protein in almost every single plant that exists on the planet. What being vegan also does is it allows you to question things more, and you start to see that you can't trust everything that you were taught in school or that you were even taught in college, because a lot of this information is really for the manipulation of your mind. You're being told and sold a story just for the purpose of monetary gain, just for the purpose of enslavement, just for the purpose of control. So it's important for others to go vegan, because this is an entire new level of awakening. So if you want to take your reality to the next level, understand why veganism is important, and not just about diet, but also about spirituality, also about morality. Animals, to me, are so close to God because they don't have to be taught how to love. Most animals, especially dogs and cats, come to this planet and they know how to love unconditionally without anyone teaching them or telling them how to do it. So it's very important for us to become vegan. I try not to live with regrets, but I will say a regret is that I didn't do it sooner. It flirted with me as a child, but in a way that wasn't with the vocabulary of veganism. There was a curiosity, and maybe because this is what I was always called to do, so there was something in me that was always curious about it. I think that's what a lot of vegans feel, that we wish we would have come to this understanding sooner, but it's okay. You come to it now. Just because you came to veganism at 12:15 on 2012 at, November 13th, and you had your awakening in that area doesn't mean that everyone else had theirs. So we also have to have a little bit of mercy and grace for people that are still in that lifestyle and that need to be wakened up as well. And I understand it feels urgent. Animals are dying every second. It's a horror story, it's a horror movie, and we want it to stop now. But we also have to be the same peace and love that we say we want in this world, which is why we want everyone to go vegan. So it's so easy to get in that dark place. I do it constantly sometimes. So I have to watch myself with it as well. So I'm not putting any judgment out on people, but let's just make sure that as much as we possibly can, that we remember why we're doing this and that it really is about love. There's so many different ways of different advocacy. So one is I'm a part of a program called Vegan Outreach is the organization I work with, also the Animal Save movement. And I manage a vegan food aid program, and I work with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. I also work with Black Women Farmers of LA, the LGBT Center South on MLK, and Black Women for Wellness. And some of the work that we do is we provide plant-based groceries and hot meals for different communities with nothing expected in return, except for them just to be able to try amazing plant-based foods on us. And it's been a wonderful program. It started because of the pandemic, but now it's evolved into just providing these communities with nutritional support. And it's been amazing. Also, my mom is now drinking almond milk, which has been a beautiful evolution to watch because for so many years she kept saying she needed milk. And I'm like, you don't need milk, but she's doing that on her own. She follows my journey constantly. Thank you, Mom. And she's always listening and watching what I'm doing. And so I really appreciate her for that. And thank you for now consuming almond milk instead of cow milk. What I would suggest is based on what type of culture you're in, because I know sometimes that's very important. A lot of people will think, well, I like soul food, so I'm not going to go vegan because I'm not giving up collard greens or chicken or this, that, and the other. But there are vegan options for everything. I have not missed anything since becoming vegan. I've actually gained more food options since becoming vegan. Never ate cauliflower before. You can fry up some cauliflower and I promise you, you will enjoy it. You can fry up some mushrooms to make it taste like chicken. There's so many different things out here that can replace those other options. Another way is if you do become vegan and you want to get involved, say you want to get involved in advocacy. I got involved in advocacy even before becoming vegan. I was still vegetarian because I thought vegans were over the top and extreme. So I didn't feel the need to go vegan until I, had that experience. But volunteer. Come and volunteer with me if you're in Los Angeles. Look me up. You can come and volunteer with me. But no matter where you are, you can go on meetup.com and type in vegan, and you can find different groups and different communities that you can volunteer for. I started off doing some really radical stuff. Going to marches, going to protests, going to supermarkets and doing speak outs, just experimenting with different things just to see what worked for me. And then I realized those things were great, but for me, I wanted to work in the Black community and provide my community with food options without them having to pay for it. And so somehow magically that evolved, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Some of my favorite foods are mushrooms. I can eat mushrooms every single day of my life. I like shiitake mushrooms. I like oyster mushrooms. I like portobello mushrooms. I like them all types of ways. I also like grits. I really love grits. So I put a little bit of vegan cheese in some grits and a little bit of vegan butter and salt. I don't do that sugar. And it's a wrap. So yeah, mushrooms are one of my favorite foods in the world. And pizza. One, start doing the research. You can, read books like this from Vegan Monk, from Amawale Adewale. They've been vegan for years, and their journeys are absolutely amazing and will really encourage and inspire you. There's so many different podcasts on how to go vegan. There's meal planners out there. YouTube is an excellent source if you want to find recipes for anything that you're currently eating that can be replaced. Go on YouTube, type in vegan option 4, and you'll see a ton of videos that will show up. Vegan Outreach has a mentorship program. It's completely free. So you can get a mentor, someone that's been vegan for years, and they will hold your hand, tell you what restaurants to go to. Even if you want to meet them in person, if it's local, they can set that up. So there's so many different options out here for people that want to go vegan. There's really no excuse if you have the desire.